Talk about a life of luxury. It's almost 9 o'clock in the morning here in my room at the SOHO Boutique Hotel in TAC. And I guess breakfast is ready down below. And breakfast is from, 7:30 till 10 or something like that. So I better go down and have some breakfast before it's all taken away. It might be takeaway only. I'm not quite sure based on what I'm seeing. They do have a breakfast buffet, but maybe you can't actually sit down there because of the pandemic and all the protocols. Maybe I have to grab some food and bring it up here. I'll find out when I get back down there. But yeah, it's time to get breakfast. I had some thoughts about my room here since last night. I was writing in my journal this morning and I was commenting that I felt so welcome here because they didn't ask for a deposit, like a damage deposit at the front desk. And there was no talk of all the penalties I would have to pay as a guest if I damage anything or break anything or do anything like this. I was talking about this whole issue with Brett while I was in Sam Yao. And I commented that the last time I stayed at a hotel was in Mesot. And I made a big deal out of all of the list of damages. You know, if you stain the sheet, 2,000 baht. If you break this, if you break a cup, 500 baht. If you break a dish, 600 baht. I mean, they had this massive list. And I always find that a little bit of it sets up an antagonistic relationship between me and the hotel I'm staying in. I understand why they do it, but at the same time, it just does not establish a very friendly tone. And I was pleased when I came into this room that on the back of the door, where you normally find these long lists of damages and how much you have to pay, there is no list. And I thought, wow, they're kind of relaxed here. But then I did a bit of searching around, and I found this document down here. See if I can get my, I was testing all the gimbal modes the other night, and I think I have it set to tilt lock at the moment. Let me get it to follow mode. There we go. Now I can make the gimbal do what I want. And so I can aim it down here. And I found this list. It originally was all in Thai, so I didn't bother trying to read it. But when you flip it around, it suddenly has an English version. And right there, if that's in focus, that's the list of all of the damages that I will have to pay in case something happens in this room. So if I break the kettle, 800 baht, the hairdryer, 800, the weighing machine, no weighing machine that I'm aware of, 800 baht, the remote control, 500 baht each, the ocean drinking glass, 80 baht each, my coffee mug, the ceramic cup, 80 baht. The alarm clock, 380 baht. I don't think there's an alarm clock in here either. In-room slippers, face and towels, bed covers, on and on. The healthy pillow. So the damages are here. And when I was telling Brett the story from Mesot, I was annoyed by this list. And I thought, well, okay, the hair dryer, which actually is one right over there on the counter, at the hotel room in Mesot, I read the damage for the hair dryer, and I thought, well, does the hair dryer even work now? And I plugged it in and hit the switch, and it wouldn't turn on. So it's already broken in the room. But they're telling me if it's broken, I have to pay them this much money. So now what do? Do you test everything in the room, make sure everything is working, go over everything to make sure nothing is damaged? And if you find anything that's damaged, now you have to go down to the front desk before you move in to point out, oh, this has already been damaged and I didn't do it. It's just like, it's exhausting just to think about it. But just for fun, I'm going to see whether the hairdryer actually works. Maybe the previous guest broke it. So let's plug this in. There we are. As if I would ever use a hairdryer these days. Let's see. So this one does work. And if by tomorrow morning it no longer works, I guess they'll blame me. I'll be the guy who broke the hairdryer. It's kind of funny. In fact, at the room in Mesa, they told me how much it would cost if I broke the glasses and the coffee mugs. So, of course, I just use my own. I mean, I travel with my own plastic Tim Hortons coffee mug. So why would I use their coffee cup, which actually I don't even like the design of, the one in Mesa, when I risk breaking it and then I have to pay for it? I'll just use my own cup then. So I don't touch anything in the room because now I don't want to risk breaking anything or damaging anything. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that I thought there was no list of damages, and it turns out there is one. I just hadn't seen it yet. But I like this hotel a lot. I'm very comfortable in this room. This bed is so comfortable. I was lying there doing my thing on all my computers and smartphones and gadgets, and I could just stay there for hours. I do not want to get out of this bed. It is so relaxing and so comfortable. And there's so much space here. Apparently this counter, I just noticed this sign, is for the food storage area. So I guess if you happen to have food, this is what this counter is meant for. And then, of course, you've got the counter over there. So I was sitting there yesterday. I got some food from the market, the big sort of night market down by the riverside. Brought it back here and had dinner sitting at this table. I like that chair. And I was reading this little card that my room electronic key card came in, and I learned something interesting. I thought SOHO, the name SOHO, just was a nod to the famous SOHO. Where is SOHO? Is that New York or London? See how unsophisticated I am. I don't even know where SOHO is. But I thought that was referencing that SOHO. But then they actually have it listed on the front that SOHO stands for something. It's an acronym. It stands for Serenity, Oriental, Hospitality, and Opportunity. Put them together and you get SOHO. And that's why it's all in capital letters. And I was wondering about that. It's like, why is the name all caps? And that's because it is an acronym. Breakfast, 6:30 till 10. So yeah, I better go have breakfast quickly. Oh yeah, the other thing I noticed, they're very, very keen on non-smoking. So in terms of the the rules, I was kind of pleased that there weren't so many rules posted everywhere to make this kind of oppressive atmosphere that you often find in hotel rooms. But they're very serious about their no smoking. So everywhere you look, you come across big signs saying no smoking, big red letters, 2,000 baht fine, you can't smoke, out on the balcony, you can't smoke in the bathroom or the room, which I don't smoke, so that's not a big deal. But they are very concerned about smoking. That is one thing. And I was reading through all the documents. They have this quite elaborate laminated sheet here with graphics to talking about everything going on in the hotel. And that's where I saw on breakfast, it says takeaway. So maybe breakfast is takeaway. So a lot of information here. And at some point in my exploration of this room, I came across this idea of the green leaf. And they said, if you don't need to have your bed sheets changed or anything like that, just put the green leaf on the bed, which tells our staff to don't touch the room. And this is an environmental thing, so you're not wasting water and using a lot of soap. And I generally don't have staff clean my room anyway. Certainly don't need it done every day. And anyway, so I was looking around going like, green leaf, where the heck is this green leaf? And check this out, there it is. There is the green leaf with the no smoking sign, of course. So I guess what you're supposed to do is take this green leaf and put it prominently right there on your bed. And if the staff happens to come into the room, they see that green leaf and they're like, score! I don't have to do anything in this room. I can just go take a coffee break. The day looks okay. That's the weather out there today. I have no idea what I'm going to do today. I have a couple other things on my mind, little stories to tell, but I will set those aside for now and head down to the breakfast room. I may be back up here with my food in a minute. We'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, I'm keeping things very simple this morning. I'm shooting on the Pocket 2, and I'm using the built-in microphones just because I want to hold it in my hand. I don't want a grip. I don't want external mics. Just keeping it simple. So I'm basically using the Pocket 2 as a DJI intended. No fancy grips and no fancy microphones working right now. Though I suppose I could use their wireless mic. Yeah, why don't I just do that? Just clips on here and I'm done. Yeah, I'll break out the wireless mic. Why not? Just for comparison purposes, this is now being recorded with the wireless mic, which I have under my shirt. And you can hear the difference in the quality of the sound between the built-in mics and the wireless mic here. I've been doing a whole bunch of microphone testing myself, so I'm pretty aware of the differences between the sounds. But yeah, this is actually quite convenient because, as I've mentioned in other videos, the wireless receiver portion is not a separate unit for the DJI Pocket 2. It's built into the camera itself. So I think that's a brilliant design. So it actually is no problem at all using the wireless mic because it does not involve an additional something needing to be mounted on the camera. You can just put your mic here and then you're done. So yeah, using this wireless mic from time to time is very convenient. All right, breakfast time. I'm up on the 3rd floor, so I don't need the elevator to go up and down. I only used it when I was carrying my heavy bags up, but I can take the stairs to go down. And I'm in the stairwell now, and over on the wall, it's quite an interesting mural. Kind of captures the tone of this hotel. I think they're striving for a very bright and colorful, friendly and welcoming tone. And I believe this is the name of their hotel's restaurant or dining area, the Awake Owl. And when I checked in, the woman at the, oh, for Pete's sake. Forgot my mask. It's funny, this happens all the time because I have to think so much about things to bring with me. I work so carefully to get the camera ready, and I have the extra battery, and I have the case, and I have the microphone, and the memory cards, and on and on and on. And then, of course, I have to bring, you know, my smartphone, and this and that, and all kinds of other things. And then, after all is said and done, I walk out of the room, and I've forgotten the mask. I think I just saw a bug flying around. But yeah, the mask is just like, it's, for me, it really is the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like one step too far of things to remember. Like I can remember 50 things to do before I go out the door, and I remember all those 50 things. But the 51st thing to get the mask and put it on, that is just one thing too many. It's always just outside my thought process. But I have my mask, so let's put this on. The modern world is a complicated one. I'm back in the stairwell, masked up, and now I'm acceptable to society at large. Well, I guess there is something different. It looked like there was a breakfast laid out in there, but they said, no, you actually, oh, here it is over here. It's a separate cafe called the Awake Owl. Ah, so that's what she was trying to explain to me. Now I get it. So right here, there is a separate building. It's right here. I mean, there's the SOHO Boutique Hotel right there with the giant stallion, and then a play area, and there's some tables outside here, And here is the entrance, the back entrance, I guess, to the Awake Owl Cafe. I don't know if it's part of SOHO or whether they've contracted things. Ah, okay. So there's the buffet for toast and jam and coffee. Okay. Sawadee krab. Ah, okay. So here we are. Oh, look at that. This is nice. Check out that awake owl. Let's see if I can zoom in. That is definitely an owl that has had 3 or 4 cups of coffee. It's ready to face the day. He's awake. And we're right beside the street. It's right there. And I don't know how this works in terms of me being a guest of the hotel. What am I allowed to order or what's included? Well, it's actually branded SOHO. I thought I'd have to provide my room key card. This is something interesting. The basil fried with chicken or pork. I see this a lot, like basil is a very popular spice in Thailand. But I've learned to avoid the basil dishes because they're intensely basilfied. They add so much basil or basil, it's overpowering for me. I always find it way too much. So I do tend to skip by the basil dishes now. Omelette served with rice. An American breakfast. Should I be a typical American and get that? Rice porridge with minced pork. And this is the to-go American breakfast. Okay, these are all the to-go, so you could bring it back to your room if you want to, but you don't have to. You can eat here. So I guess I will eat here. This looks good. Rice porridge with minced pork. And I wouldn't mind an omelet served with rice. I wonder whether I can get both. That would be a nice simple breakfast for me. Okay, chicken and rice, I guess. All right. All right, an order has been placed. It's actually kind of funny because, again, in my journal this morning I was writing and I was telling this story about this cafe that I went to in, here in Tak, near the King Taksin the Great Memorial Shrine. And I was ordering from their menu and I was commenting that I often feel hesitant when I order from a menu because so many of the items are never available. So I keep picking items on menus and then they never have them. And then I end up feeling guilty that I've made them feel guilty by asking for something that they can't make. So I'm always so hesitant. I'm like, this made, like, do you have this? And just now I decided to have the porridge and the rice omelet. 2 simple dishes would suit me. So I brought the menu up and of course they told me no omelet. They for whatever reason, egg shortage, there is no omelet. So right after telling that story, I end up ordering from a very small menu, like 5 items on it, and the one item I pick is the one item they actually can't make this morning. So yeah, I ended up getting the porridge and the American breakfast. Pretty happy about that. I could get toast and coffee. Again, it's kind of funny. I often comment, and I have commented that no matter where you go in a country like Thailand, you can sit anywhere. There will be an angle grinder happening around you all the time. There's always an angle grinder. There must be billions of them. This happened in Myanmar as well. You could not sit down anywhere without the accompaniment of the sound of an angle grinder. And of course, there's one out there somewhere. I can't see where the construction is taking place, but it's out there somewhere. Every day that goes by, my love affair with the Pocket 2 deepens. It's just such a delightful camera to use. It's so convenient in so many ways. I have it sitting here on the table on its handy tripod, and it just looks so cute sitting there. I'll take a picture of it and insert it into this video, and you can see what's going on here. And in fact, it's so unobtrusive. I mean, I could move it over here on its tripod next to the flowers, right over there, and nobody would know that it is even there. Oh, that was fast. My meal is here already. So I guess the picture of the American breakfast has toast on it, but I guess if you want toast, you get your own toast. It doesn't actually come with toast on the plate, which very logical. So there's my American breakfast, fried egg. So they do have eggs. I don't know why they couldn't just fry it up into an omelet shape. Could have had rice, just put this fried egg on top, and that would have been good enough for me. Some ham and some veggies, and here's the star of the show. As far as I'm concerned, I love this rice porridge, so that's going to be very tasty. So I think the rice porridge is going to stay hot for a long time, so I might dive into this omelet or this egg first while it's still warm. I was saying the other day that having a breakfast buffet kind of suits me because I'm so reluctant to take the time to feed myself in the morning. I'm just so eager to get started doing things, and I'll just have coffee all morning long if I'm working on something or I'm on my phone or doing something, and somehow stopping to have a meal just seems like an interruption of my day. And if I want to go outside to do something, same thing. I think most average people, or most normal people, you go outside, the first thing you're going to do is have breakfast. But I find I'm so impatient sitting there eating breakfast. If I'm going on a scooter trip or something, I'm all packed up and I'm ready to go. I want to go. I don't want to then sit in a cafe for an hour and have breakfast. No, I mean, get going. I can have lunch later. But then I suffer because of that, because you really should have something to eat. Without food, you end up a bit irritable, you're lacking concentration, you're lacking focus. And this is the best of all worlds. I barely had to go anywhere. I'm having a really nice breakfast. And it doesn't interfere with my day at all. They just brought toast, by the way. So he actually made toast for me and served it with butter and jam. I'm never leaving this hotel. I'm moving in. I'm I'm staying here from now on. I actually already decided that I'm not going to make a big deal out about my return to Mesa. I was thinking I was going to turn it into a whole day's adventure where I wake up at the crack of dawn, and I was going to ride my scooter back to the north towards Sam Niao and take that mountain road again. It's twice as long as going by the main highway. But my experience on the big highway yesterday was so negative. I just don't want to spend any time on a major highway again. So I was planning this big excursion through the mountains, but I'm having such a good time in this hotel. I just want to maximize this experience. You know, checkout time is noon, so I think I'm just going to plan to spend the whole morning here at the hotel tomorrow, enjoy a nice breakfast, relax in my room until 12 o'clock, the very last minute when I have to check out, and then get on my scooter and ride back to Mesa. And if I ride back through on the main highway, it's a very short ride. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to live a life of luxury and just relax here, take advantage of this place. Okay, well, I've buttered up, and now I'm jamming up my toast. That's the thing about me and just about everything in the world. I often don't even know what it is I want or what it is I need. Someone else has to tell me half the time. And when it comes to food, I can go for hours without eating anything, think nothing of it. But the second I smell the food or put some of it in my mouth and taste it, it's just like I'm overwhelmed with this tidal wave of hunger. It just comes out of nowhere, and it's just sort of like, oh, I want food so badly. And of course I wanted food that whole time, but I wasn't even aware of it until food was in front of me. I'm that way with just about everything. I don't even know what it is, what my own wants and needs are, until it's standing right in front of me. And it's like, oh, okay. It has to be there, physically present, in order for me to know that, you know, what I want. Is that weird? Like right now, I'm so hungry. I had no idea how hungry I was. I was just saying the other day that my smartphone can do probably 1,000 things that I never use it for during the course of a day. I just forget that it can do all these other things. For example, I was at a coffee shop with Brett in Sam Niao the other day, and the server brought us a complimentary drink. It was an amazing drink. I loved it. It was an iced drink, kind of clear liquid. I thought maybe it was tea, iced tea of some kind, but it had a bit of a fruity, citrusy tang to it. I thought it was delicious. So I asked the server what it was, and he told me in Thai the name of it. And of course, a half a second after he walked away, the name was already out of my memory. I couldn't remember it. And I was thinking I could just have the voice recorder app on my phone sort of prominent there all the time. And if I know I'm going to ask somebody something, just hit the button for voice recorder and how do you say this in Thai? The person tells me, and I end up having a voice record of it on my phone. The phone can do that, but it never occurs to me. And just now, I thought I would chat into the camera while I'm enjoying my my porridge, my rice porridge, and it is, by the way, extremely hot. So it was a wise decision to leave it until after my American breakfast, because it's still piping hot. But anyway, I was turning on the camera, and I was curious whether I was framed properly, but the screen on that camera is so tiny, I can't see it even from this distance. So I end up putting on my glasses, and then I lean down, to look at the screen. But of course, once I've leaned down to look in the screen, it's not the proper framing anymore. I can't tell how I'm framed because now I'm out of frame. But then, of course, being the idiot that I am, I finally remembered, well, I've got my phone in my pocket. Just turn on the DJI Mimo app and run the camera from the phone. And I have a beautiful full-size, bright display of everything that I'm filming with the camera, and I can control it from here. I always forget to do that for whatever reason, so trying to train myself to not forget that I have this powerful device in my pocket at all times. So good. Hearty and simple. Very simple man. I was just thinking about the complicated relationship we foreigners have with the American breakfast. Because I'm pretty sure everywhere we go in the world, when we see the American breakfast on the menu, we want to order it. And I'll explain why in a minute. But then, of course, we don't want to order it because then we open ourselves up to the accusation of not trying the local food. Like, why did you go to Nepal and then order the American breakfast? Why don't you have Nepalese food? Don't you like food from other countries? You know, why don't you broaden your horizons? So we see the American breakfast and we want to order it, but then we're reluctant to. And if we do, we feel guilty about it and keep it a secret. But the thing is, the main reason the American breakfast is appealing for me is that it is different from the other meals of the day. The Thai food on the menu, as I pointed out, was chicken, basil chicken with rice. And when you go to have lunch, you're going to have basil chicken with rice. And when it becomes time for dinner, you're going to have basil chicken with rice. Breakfast is not different from any other meal throughout the day, unless you order something like this, porridge, of course. And I think for a Canadian and for Americans in general, that just gets to be a bit much, and it's nice to have just a simple plate of whatever, bacon, scrambled eggs, sausage, toast, jam, and coffee for breakfast, because that makes it a different meal from the meal I know I'm going to have for lunch and then for supper. The complicated history of the American breakfast. One problem I have with the Mimo app on the phone, it's a little bit difficult to see that it is actually recording, because the record button is a big red circle, and then when you press the record button, it starts recording video. But then all that happens is the big red record button gets a little bit smaller and it's kind of square now. But I don't have this intuitive feeling about which is which. Like now it looks like the record button to me. It doesn't look like the I am recording button. So I always get confused. And then I have to look at the Pocket, and if I see the flashing red light, oh, okay, it's recording. But the Mimo app doesn't communicate that information very clearly to me. Another quick story. Yesterday, of course, I wanted to go to the Petrified Wood Forest Park, and I eventually found it. But it was closed. They wouldn't let me in. So after I got into my room here, I contacted Brett in Samyao just to tell him about the day, how everything went, and I mentioned that I tried to go to the park with the petrified trees, and it was closed, and I tried to go to the Flintstones coffee shop, and it was closed. And Brett wrote back and said, well, he went to the park 2 weeks ago, and he had no trouble getting in, so he wondered why it was closed. And I started to think that maybe I went to the wrong place, because even at the time I was confused, because I thought a park like that would have sort of dramatic signage, even in English, saying, come see the world record holder, or soon to be world record holder, the longest petrified tree in the world. I thought it could be kind of a big deal, and I didn't see any signs anywhere for this park.
And all I saw was a big sign for another national park. And based on Google Maps and my information, I assumed the Petrified Tree Park was inside the national park. So I was at the right place. But it was closed. But then when Brett told me that 2 weeks ago he went there without any trouble, I thought, maybe I was at the wrong place entirely. Maybe that was a different national park. Could very well have been. But then Brett told me that, well, if I wanted to make sure, I could just watch his video, because I hadn't watched it yet. He made a video about his trip to the Petrified Tree Park, and it's on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description. I'll try to remember to do that. So I watched his video, and at the very beginning, it shows him riding his motorbike up to the gates of the national park and just riding through. And it was the exact same place where I had been. So I did go to the right place. And it looked exactly the same too, because there was a barrier across the road, one of those drop down bars, but it was raised up halfway. So I could have ridden my scooter underneath it. There was space to do that. So I could have ridden underneath the barrier, but as I approached, soldiers were there. And one of the soldiers came out to the road and said, no, 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 and gave me the international, it's closed, you can't go in signal. So I left. So when I watched Brett's video, he rides up to that exact same gate, raised halfway, and he just rides underneath it and keeps going and goes to the park. But when he went, I guess the soldiers were on a break, taking a coffee break or something, and there was no one physically there to stop him. So I think technically the park really was closed, because on the sign it had dates showing how long it has been closed. And I think it was still closed, but Brett, when he showed up, the gate was open and there was nobody there, so he just rode through and went to look at the world's longest petrified tree. Well, my breakfast is done, and I don't really need a cup of coffee, but I'm going to go get one anyway, just to see what it's like and get the full experience of my breakfast buffet at the Awake Cafe? Yeah, the Awake Owl. Awake Owl. And of course I want to keep playing around with my Pocket too. One thing I'm curious about, again, because this is a brand new experience for me, is now that the phone is controlling the camera, can I close the screen and put the phone in my pocket and keep recording, and then later on reopen the app and continue on from there? Or will closing the screen turn off the connection to the camera? Because I can't put the phone in my pocket as it is now with the screen on, because all the buttons would get pushed. So let's see what happens as I close the screen. So there it is there, busy recording me, and then I'll turn off the screen. And what happened? I think we're good. The recording light is still flashing. I can put this in my pocket. And I think I can stop recording on the phone, on the Pocket too, if I want to. But I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and I'll bring you with me, of course. So here's the, oh, I see. It isn't actually brewed coffee. It's just, it's instant coffee. And this would be hot water. And that's a little disappointing, because I have better instant coffee in my room. But I will indulge anyway, just for the full experience. A nice feature about having an actual cafe connected to the hotel is that there's no time limit on me sitting here. The breakfast ends at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock now, so breakfast is over, but they won't kick me out because it's an actual commercial coffee shop and they're open for regular customers. Oh. Whew. I feel much better. Another good thing about this Pocket 2, being a gimbal, I don't have to worry about the camera being vertically straight up and down. Because right now, when I put it down for whatever reason, it just flopped over on an angle on the tripod. And if it were another camera, of course, I'd have to pull it back into position, make sure it's level. But because it's a gimbal, the handle, doesn't matter what the angle of the handle is, because the camera will balance itself and make itself level perfectly. It's a handy feature. Feels like the mini tripod that comes with it could be improved, though. It's a bit awkward to use because the three legs themselves, you have to spread them out. But I think you spread them out in the direction that you loosen the tripod. I don't know, I find as I'm screwing the tripod in and then I try to spread the legs out, I end up unscrewing the tripod. So it's like a weird process to actually get the tripod screwed in and then open the legs up. I haven't figured out the proper technique for doing that yet. But it's such a small, convenient tripod that I would end up bringing it with me everywhere all the time. And something else I just tested was the ability to download the actual video from the Pocket to my phone and then watch it on my phone. And I just did that and it worked fine. Since it is copying directly into the phone's memory, it's actually much faster than copying from the memory card to the phone's memory card, which is actually quite a slow process. I thought maybe I could play the video from here even though it's on the Pocket 2, but that doesn't seem to work. I can call up a screen of all the videos on the Pocket 2, but whenever I click on one to play it, it just shuts down. It breaks the connection with the Pocket. So what I have to do is select a video, download it from there to here, and then I'm able to play it here. But the same thing happened when I clicked on the video to play it. It broke the connection with the Pocket 2. So you can watch the videos on the phone, but you have to download them first, and then you can't have it connected to the Pocket at the same time, which is fine, just as long as I know how it's done. You know, I'm just figuring all that out on my Pocket 2 learning curve. I learned a ton of things about this camera yesterday, as well, things that I didn't know. I'm quickly becoming quite the Pocket 2 expert. Breakfast is done, and I'm a very happy man. That was amazing. I enjoyed that. And it turns out there isn't just one awake owl in here. The walls are covered in very awake owls. I just spotted this one above me. And there it is there, another very happy, very awake owl. And then over here on the wall, there's another one peeking around the corner. Or there he is there. I was aiming at the wrong place. Very awake owls. Here's the sign for the awake owl out on the street. And there's the exterior. That's what you see from the street. And over there are the angle grinder dudes. I guess, yeah, they're renovating the business next door. And you can see how close the awake owl is to the Soho. It's right there. So that works out really nicely. And I think that is the end of this early morning breakfast video. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do today. I have my heart set on riverside snacks for the evening, but we'll see if that happens. I think I'm going to conserve my energy to an extent so that when the sun starts to set, I can head down to the riverside and walk along there and try a few snacks here and there. Have that experience in TAC. Because as I said when I was coming here, it's the river that seems to be the key feature of this city. And I may hop on the scooter at some point during the day and just go riding around, just go exploring a little bit. I may or may not fire up a camera for that. We'll see how the day goes. But until then, I'm shutting down, and I'll see you in the next video.